What's going on, YouTubers? This is Buddy coming back at you. Another quick video on a 65-gallon mixed reef. I'm doing this video just to give you a quick update on what I'm doing. I'm no longer carbon dosing. I want to talk a little bit about that. And I also wanted to show you how I switched the tank around a little bit. I moved that rock back and pulled that pearl bubble out. I wanted to display that bubble coral. It's just absolutely beautiful. And you'll see I brought the Fungia plate back downstairs. It wasn't thriving very well in the tank upstairs. The parameters and everything are identical to this aquarium. So basically what I'm assuming is that it's just, the tank's just not, it's just a new tank. You get little swings here and there, and it's just not quite ready yet as far as, it just takes some time. So, I brought it back down here, and it's doing much better now. So I just don't think the aquarium is new tanks are relatively unstable. We can have small swings here and there. I've kept the tank pretty stable, in my opinion. I haven't had hardly any swings at all. Had a little temperature swing, and I'm pretty sure that was the reason why the Fungia plate had a little lapse in health, we'll call it. Did have a little temperature swing. That was my fault. It was, about I want to say, maybe 3 weeks after the aquarium was cycled. We're having some cold days, hot days. One day it hit 80 degrees. I was at work. I wasn't home, so by the time I got home, the tank, the temperature was pretty high. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Excuse me. So I had a couple negative effects as far as that goes. And the one negative effect was the Fungia plate and another coral that I'll show you in a minute. And that was the only negative effects. All the SBS corals are doing fine. No other issues with any of the other corals. So I just brought these two back down here where they were doing fine in this aquarium before, and they are looking a lot better, especially the Fungia plate. The other corals definitely debatable. Don't think it's going to make it. This is just an error on my part. I should have been more prepared for the temperature. The days. Some days were cold, some days were hot. Should have paid attention to the news and adjusted for that, especially with that tank being upstairs. The upstairs of my house is much warmer. Downstairs in the dining room here, I don't worry about that. If it hits 80 degrees, my downstairs never gets above 70, and that's without central air running. Or I'm sorry, the AC is running. Alright, so you'll see that I opened that cave up, which I don't know why I always have those green star polyps, that rocket green star polyps blocking that cave, because that cave is just sweet looking, and it's going to definitely allow the fish a place to swim in and out. And I think that's one of the most pleasing things for me, is watching the fish swim in and out of the rock work. I just think that's a really cool thing, and I just really enjoy watching them swim in and out of the rocks. So the fact that I had that blocked off was just stupid on my part, and I don't know why I ever did that. So I just moved the green star polyps over to the side there. I did put the torch coral and the Duncan, let me say it right this time, the Duncan coral back where they were, because the bubble is quite big and so isn't the torch, and I didn't want either one of those touching or stinging each other. So I did move them, separated them apart. My toadstool is shedding. It's been growing pretty rapidly, so it's been shedding a lot more. It used to shed once a month, but now it's shedding every 2 weeks. It's shedding twice a month, but it's growing pretty quick. Let's just put it that way. It's definitely growing a lot quicker. And other corals are also looking a lot better. I'm getting a little bit faster growth rate. And there's and the thing I wanted to talk about was that you all know that if you've been following me, you'll know that I was carbon dosing for about 6 or 7 months. And the aquarium, everything stayed stable. I kept the nitrates at 2.7 parts per million. When I was carbon dosing, I kept them at 2.7 parts per million. I figured that reading of a nitrate level, and then having my phosphates at 0.02 parts per million would keep algae down from growing at all, and would help coral growth. So it was a little experiment that I was doing to see if keeping these levels at that that specific level, I would get faster coral growth. And believe it or not, actually I didn't. Coral growth was a lot slower than I have experienced in the past almost 13 years that I've been in the hobby. So the last video that I did on my lighting video, which is actually, I uploaded it 2 weeks after I made it. So you guys, I think it's been up online now for about a little over a week. So really it's almost a month old since I made it anyways, coming up on a month since I made it. Because I don't always get to upload them right away. So in that video I talked about, I wasn't sure if I was going to continue to carbon dose. And I was dosing the no-pox. You know, so I stopped dosing. I weaned the tank right down to nothing, and I haven't dosed any carbon to the system for about 3 weeks now. And I've noticed definitely a difference in the corals. Some of the corals just seem to definitely started to grow a lot faster. I know 3 weeks is a very short amount of time to see any real growth when it comes to corals, but I really have. I have noticed some of the heads on my egg hands definitely are bigger. Let me see what else. My Favia over there definitely looks bigger just in the 3 weeks. My candy canes, or well, yeah, candy canes, trumpet coral, whatever you want to call it, is actually splitting pretty quickly. I'm gonna give you a close-up and show you, but I've never had a real fast grow rate when it comes to Duncan or candy canes or trumpet corals. They've always been somewhat slow growers for me. The heads would get quite big, but they didn't split that much. And this one's actually been in the tank since I started carbon dosing, and I got no split whatsoever. The heads didn't even really get big at all. In the past 3 weeks, I'm going to give you a close-up here in a minute and show you how much it is splitting just in the past 3 weeks. It's pretty impressive. Even my my zoas here, some of the zoas were bleaching. The colors were really starting to lighten, and in the past 3 weeks the colors have really came back. Now this could be due to more than one thing. I'm not simply blaming it on carbon dosing or saying carbon dosing had anything to do with the fact that I wasn't getting the growth that I felt like I should have been out of the corals. They were still growing, just not at the rate that I felt like they should have been. So I'm not blaming that on carbon dosing. You know, there's other things that can come into play. I'm just simply sharing my experience that I had with it and my reasoning for why I'm not going to continue to do it. I've always had fairly good nitrate levels. I never had an issue with nitrates in this aquarium, so it was quite silly that I even started to do it. I just wanted to see if I could keep nitrates at a specific level, if that would help overall health and growth in corals. If I had them consistent at 2.7 parts per million and kept the phosphates consistent at 0.02 parts per million. I've always kept phosphates before around 0.01 parts per million, but I wanted to see if I could get more growth, if I could get more rapid growth. So that actually did not happen. Growth rate was actually slower. So basically I just took the carbon, I stopped carbon dosing. It's been about 3 weeks. Phosphates are still at 0.02 parts per million. Nitrates are up just a tiny bit. They're a little over 2.7 parts per million right now. I have to get the exact reading. I have it in my log book. I'll have to pull it out. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was slightly higher. Slightly, very little, and that was with the Hannah checker. So it's just a couple little points there with the Hannah checker. If you're familiar with the Hannah checker, you might understand what I'm saying. But I didn't want to give you an exact number because I could be wrong, and I don't want to give you false information. So I'll put it in the comments below when I pull out my journal. So and some of the other corals too, like this guy right here was lightening up. He's starting to come back, get that good purple back to him. Oh, this coral right here, let me get a zoom in on this one. This one was dying off completely, and it is definitely coming back. Now you'll see that arm, where am I? Right here is coming back, and this arm is coming back, and they're actually starting to grow back over the skeleton structure. And the only reason why I didn't pull it out of the tank, because it was pretty much dead, it was actually dead, was because it was glued to the rock there, so I was just going to let it go. I was actually going to possibly glue some zoas to it or something and let them cover it. I thought it would look kind of cool. But it's actually coming back. I'm pretty happy about that. And another thing that I'm really happy about over the past 3 weeks is an old friend decided to come back and visit. I know. It's pretty exciting to me, and I'm going to give you a close-up. Let me see if I can get it to zoom in. Well, my camera won't zoom in, but let me see if I can get it to zoom. Hold on, guys. Well, I can't get it to zoom, but you can see that. Where am I here? Hold on. You can see that red speck right there, right? Well, that's my Montipora. I had an issue where my Montipora came down with STN and died off, and I couldn't save any of the frags. And since I stopped carbon dosing over the past 3 weeks, again, I'm not blaming it on carbon dosing. I'm just simply saying when I stopped, 3 weeks later, I noticed my Montipora was coming back. And there's a little piece of it, and it has 3 little polyps on it, and it looks really good, and I'm hoping it grows back, so I'm pretty excited about that. So you can never count a coral out. You know, that coral was dead, and I counted it out, and I haven't seen anything on that rock for the past, I don't know, at least 2 months. That video is 2 or 3 months old now. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's a little piece coming back. So I'm pretty impressed about that. I'm really happy about that. So, and you'll see my green star polyps are already starting to grow back where I popped them off. They're fast growers anyways. But right there, you'll see some new heads coming on there. Some new ones coming in. Pretty happy. That was the spot where I fragged them off for upstairs. They're starting to come back. And I moved this rock over here hoping that it'll encrust on the glass and grow up the glass. I think that'll look really cool. So I'm pretty happy about that. And some of my zoas, the coloration's really coming back, especially the red people eaters right here. Those weren't even really red anymore. They're more of a brownish color. They weren't really red anymore. They weren't looking very good. My eagle eye zoas, you're not going to be able to see those. There's my eagle eye zoas, which were all gone. When I started carbon dosing, they slowly all died off. I do have a little pinch of cyano there. A little bit on this rock, I have a little pinch of cyano. I'm not too worried about that. I think it's just a change of carbon dosing, from carbon dosing to not carbon dosing. I think it'll take the aquarium a little bit to restabilize itself. You know, it doesn't have anything, you know, for the aquarium basically to start working the way it should be. I'm not adding anything that's consuming nitrates or anything like that. So I actually did anticipate having a nitrate spike, a small one. I actually didn't. It's been 3 weeks and haven't had a nitrate spike. I actually expected nitrates to probably go up to about 10 parts per million to just kind of spike up on me, but they haven't. I'm watching them real close just to see if there's any negative effects from stopping after doing it for so many months. So far, so good, but I figure if I plan for it, then you know, maybe I'll be better able to deal with it if I do have a small spike due to the fact that I was carbon dosing for so many months. Now, a quick experiment that we did when I was working for the fish store was we actually set up 2 tanks side by side where we vodka dosed in one and we didn't do anything in the other tank. We kept the parameters exactly the same. There's exactly the same size tanks, same protein skimmers, the same lighting, same spectrum, same intensity. Everything was identical. At the end of the experiment, we ran that experiment for 1 year. At the end of the experiment, we did have double the SBS growth in the aquarium that we were not carbon dosing in. Now, with that being said, there are many factors that can come into play when it comes to 2 separate aquariums. You can set them up identically and have 2 completely different results. One aquarium could just be just terrible. I mean, it could have nitrate issues, whatever, phosphate issues. The other tank could thrive beautifully. I mean, this is just something that happens. You can never, two tanks, even though they're set up identically, can have completely different results. That's basically just what I'm trying to say. But with that experiment that we did run, that aquarium that we were not carbon dosing, it did have double the SBS growth. All the other corals were identical. Health, coloration was all identical. We just had double the growth. That could definitely be a couple different factors. So I'm not saying that carbon dosing led to any of that at all. I still, even after knowing that information, doing that experiment, I still took a chance and carbon dosed on this aquarium. Am I upset that I did it? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? Maybe. Not on this aquarium, but maybe on a different one down the road I may do it again. But that was just my experiment that I did. I did it for about 6 or 7 months. Now that's still a short amount of time to definitely give a full review on the NoPox product. Did it work? Yeah, absolutely. It did what it said it was going to do. It did a good job. The only thing I really didn't notice a big impact on was phosphates. Did an amazing job for nitrates. Didn't really see much as far as phosphates go. But in my opinion, carbon dosing in general, whether it's biopellets, liquid carbon dosing, vodka, that's all designed for nitrates. I've never seen any impact on phosphates, and if it was a very small impact, very, very small impact. It works really well. Carbon dosing works really well for nitrates, but not that well for phosphates. So I still ran a phosphate reactor the entire time I was carbon dosing. And like I said, let me give you a quick shot of this Duncan coral before I sign out. So you'll see those two heads right there. You'll see the two in the front have split, and you'll see that, they're growing another mouth there. This one's growing another mouth. This one right here is growing another mouth. This one's growing another mouth. This one's growing another mouth. This one's starting to split back here. Over the past 3 weeks, it has started to do this very quickly. So, once they grow their second mouth, they'll split. So this one has split and it's already growing another mouth. So once that other mouth is there, it'll officially full mouth, it'll start to split. Same thing with this one. You'll see it's already starting to separate. The mouths are spreading apart, and it will split down the middle. You'll see this one starting to split. So that's pretty impressive. I'm pretty happy about that. The war coral here, the shimmer on the light makes my camera not focus, was pretty bleached out all around the sides. And I did hit it with a power meter, and the lighting was perfect for this particular species of coral. So I knew it wasn't the lighting. I thought maybe it was a nutritional issue, but ever since I started carbon dosing after the past 3 weeks, the colors are coming back. So like I said, this could be several different things, guys. I'm not blaming it just on carbon dosing. I'm just sharing my experience and telling you what I have noticed from when I was doing it and when I stopped. So I'm not knocking it, not saying don't do it, but that is completely up to you. Definitely do your research. If you are vodka dosing, that's recommended that you keep your your DKH, your carbon hardness, at 7.5 or 7 DKH. That is recommended. There's a couple really good articles online, so definitely if you're thinking about carbon dosing, I would definitely check it out. Read those articles and make your own decisions. I kept my DKH at 9. My carbon hardness I kept at 9. I did not drop it down to 7. Maybe that had some kind of impact on what I was doing. But this was my experiment. I ran it. I was happy with the product, but did notice a slower growth in SPS coral growth. Alright guys, this is Buddy signing out. Happy reefing. Let me know if you like the way the tank looks now that I pushed that rock back and pulled that pearl bubble out. Alright guys, Buddy signing out. Happy reefing.